how well are we doing here? Are you really connected to God? I was in a prayer function last night where there was worship and prayer, and a lot of these chairs were empty. I'm just wondering, how connected are we? He went on to tell me that a lot of the people, they said they almost felt like they were burdened with life's problems. They were burdened with work and challenges at home and challenges with their children, schools and school schedules and ball games to meet. And they just can't find time for prayer at home. So their prayer life consists when they're sitting at church or when they go to a Bible study. People, I cry out to you and I tell you that's got to change. If that's us in this room, that has got to change. We're seeing revival across our country right now. And if we don't become praying people, if we don't become people on fire for God, and then we were reading in a book this morning how we have to. We're really called to have a relationship with God. He didn't create you to run across this earth and never devote any time for Him. He didn't give all of His sacrifices for you to just run amok. He went to the cross and he was so stressed that he sweated blood out of the pores of his head. And I believe if there was only one of us on earth, He would have died for us, because that's the kind of God He is. And then I was reading in my journal, and it really went right along with this. I was reading in a journal this morning, and it went right along. And it said that what we see, we feel, we touch, hear, and smell is reality to us. And yet we don't see God. We don't feel God. We ain't touching God. We ain't hearing God. So therefore, that is second nature. So therefore, our experiences of what we experience by touch, sight, and hearing is more prevalent to us. I tell you something right now. If there's been a person in this room that feels like they've needed deliverance or they needed some kind of spiritual help, that tells you the spiritual realm is, to me, and I guarantee you to my wife, and those that have been delivered, the spiritual realm is so real, it's as real as this podium is to you. The spiritual realm is just as real. To me, it's almost more prevalent. I've worked about 2.5 years in what they called an SMI pod, seriously mentally ill. Every inmate in the pod was seriously mentally ill. And everything, for 3 years, everything I seen in those pods was spiritual. Every one of them talked about seeing demons. Every one of them talked about hearing from angels, or they're speaking to Jesus, or they seen Jesus, or they know something spiritual. I had one guy that was so out of his mind that he ran around with a towel on his head. I asked him, I said, stop. Because he would walk in circles so fast around the pod that he would overheat. And then he would go into delirium. He would overheat and fall and pass out on the floor. I told him to stop. I said, what is your craziness? And he says, you don't understand. He goes, when I take this off, everybody in here I see demons on. He says, but when I have this on, I can see through it enough. And everybody in here, there's something fighting that demon. And I want to see whatever's fighting that demon win. Do you think that he could have possibly been seeing in the spiritual realm and seeing an angel fighting for each one of them souls inside of that room? That's the kind of stuff we need to be recognizing with. That's the kind of stuff that we need to step out in faith with. And realize that there's a spiritual warfare going on that we don't see. And don't always discredit those that are called SMI. Sometimes they're seeing stuff that you can't. I'll tell you another real quick story. I had a guy standing in a room looking up, and he just kept looking up. And the guys go, what is wrong with you? And he was like, you guys don't matter. That's what he kept telling everybody. You guys don't matter. They called for officers to come in and take him out of the pod. They was afraid that somebody was going to assault him. I go into the pod, and this guy was staring at the ceiling, and they were calling lockdown. Everybody locked down, and he wouldn't move. I told my sergeants, I got this guy. I talked to him the other day. I said, he'll be okay. And the sergeant goes, then you better get him. So I walked over to him, and I said, I know what you're looking at. And he looked at me, and he goes, you do? And I said, yeah. You're looking at all the fighting going on in the second heavens, ain't you? And he goes, people can't see this. And I said, I have to take you out of here. He goes, thank you. As normal as anybody in this room would talk to anybody else. I truly believe what I saw. I heard the Lord speak to me, so I spoke it to him, and he understood. So tell me, what are you seeing? Let's pray.